Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
Welcome back to the Double R Show. With me is somebody that I have introduced any number of times, always with the same line, have you read a good book lately?
Hi there, I'm Kirsten Brodbeck-Kenny. I'm the director of Driftwood Public Library here in Lincoln City, and I did read a really good book recently.
Tell me.
It's called My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, and it is perfect if you love slasher movies. It's a horror novel, obviously. And it is about a young woman who loves slasher movies and then starts to suspect that her town is going to have a starring role in a real-life slasher movie. And so she has to discover who the killer is and try to stop him before things take the usual bloody result that happens when you have a slasher movie. It's really good if you like horror.
If you like horror. The library is really a focal point for the community, is it not?
Oh, yes, definitely. We're so glad, still thanking our lucky stars that we're open. We've been open for a while now, but people still come in and say, I'm so glad you're still here. Right now, we've got lots of community groups using our meeting rooms, and we've got lots and lots of activities going on for summer reading as well.
Is there a charge to use a community room?
There is a $10 an hour charge for private use, which means if you want to have a party there or have a closed meeting, that kind of thing. But we do waive the fee for nonprofits and for community service groups and governmental groups, things like that. So I think it's a pretty reasonable type of situation.
Anytime I think of the library, I think, shh, quiet. Wouldn't it bring a lot of noise into the library?
Well, I have to say we are not a shushing library. Well, I find that really the nice thing about our library is it's large enough that you can usually find a quiet corner, even if there is a lot of other activity going on. Unfortunately, right now, our reading room, which is our quiet room, is closed due to a flood that we had in January. But that hopefully will be reopening by the end of August at this point.
When you talk about the reading room and all of the other activities take place, another thing comes to mind is the computer setup that you've got here that community can use as well, right?
That's correct. We've got a number of public use computers. You can come in, print your boarding pass, print your Amazon return receipts. It's only 10 cents a page to print. Of course, using the computers themselves is free. We also have Wi-Fi throughout the library and even extending out into the park behind the library and into the parking garage. So if you've got your own device, you are more than welcome to come in, sit down with your laptop, and get some work done. We're happy to help you find a spot where you can do that.
For the benefit of the parents that may be out there listening and wondering, is it safe for my child to use those computers? Tell me about that.
Well, we do have several computers in our children's room for children to use that are not connected to the internet. So if you really want to be absolutely certain, that's a good option. Otherwise, the computers are in a pretty public spot, and we can kind of monitor, by walking by what's going on. We do encourage parents to talk with your children about how we use the internet and how we stay safe on the internet and monitor their use. But I would say that it's a pretty safe spot to come in general.
You are into a new budget year. What kind of money do you budget each year just for the purchase of new books?
We budget about $75,000 a year for purchases. This year we asked for a specific dollar amount, about $3,000, to expand our Spanish language collection. And the budget committee actually gave us some additional funds. So they gave us an extra $7,000 more than what we'd asked for. So we're really excited. We're going to be able to really expand the types of Spanish language materials we carry. We're getting our order lists ready to go. And that's, I think, going to be great for our community because we do have about 10% at least of our population that speaks Spanish at home. And really, compared to the percentage of Spanish language books we have in the library, we're nowhere near 10%. So being able to expand that and meet those needs is really exciting for us.
Speaking of the number of books in the library, any idea of the actual number books in the Driftwood Library?
I'm not sure about books specifically, but we have about 80,000 items that circulate. So movies, books, CDs, all kinds of, even Wi-Fi hotspots and fishing poles and board games, things like that. So we've got an amazing collection. And of course, if we don't have something, usually Newport or Tillamook has it, and they can send it down here to be picked up. And if that fails, we can go out to other libraries around the country and do what we call an interlibrary loan and request materials. So there's very few things that we can't get. It's a really great resource, I think.
Okay, you've got some activities forthcoming the rest of the July and into August. Talk about some of those special events.
Oh, well, right now our summer reading club is going on. That's for all ages, infants to adults. We've got some really cool family events that happen in July. They all happen at 6 o'clock on Wednesday evenings. So at 6 o'clock on the 19th, the Oregon Coast Aquarium will be coming to us to talk about sharks. They've got some really cool activities planned. Unfortunately, they are not bringing sharks, or at least not live sharks. I was a little disappointed about that.
Well, you could have the Oregon Coast Community College bring their shark in.
That thought occurred to me. I thought maybe they should just come and sit in the audience and be, shark fans. But that's at 6 o'clock on the 19th, and we do keep the library open later that evening so that we can have those evening events. And then on the 26th, the Reptile Man will be here, and that is always very exciting. He brings lizards, snakes, and tortoises and turtles, and usually there's an opportunity for kids to handle a snake or a lizard if they want to, or pet them, and you get to learn a lot about those animals, how they live, how you take care of them, and it's always a blast. Although apparently we had a little trouble finding lodging for this performer, because we had to find a local hotel that was willing to take a handful of reptiles as well. But we did find local lodging, and we're pretty excited about that program.
That's probably not the biggest asked question in a hotel.
Probably not. You call and you say, are you pet friendly? Okay. How do you feel about snakes?
We'll look forward to having you back. We'll talk further down the road about all of the activities coming up in August as well.
Sounds great.
And we'll continue with our podcast in just a moment. If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service. Our next guest on our podcast, The Double R Show, is Mr. David Price. And David has got a long history in the city of Lincoln City, but more importantly today with the Oregon Coast Community College. But this is summer, Dave. We wouldn't be working now.
Yeah, you would think so. But no, we have a lot that's happening here in the summer. Primarily in my world, we are handling all the marketing and communications for the college and preparing for the fall term with our various programs. Meanwhile, we're also launching our fall community education and small business development lineups for the fall term.
The small business development lineups, let's talk about that, because I got a personal interest in this, because this community college really helped our son Peter.
Yeah, talk about a success story. Yeah, we just love the story of Peter and Jana and the work they've done. But no, we meet with clients like that every single day. Just today, I took 2 phone messages off the phone this morning and routed them to our advisors. Folks reach out in the middle of the night. They're doing their books or they're looking at some new opportunity, and they say, "I got to talk to someone about that." And I hope they remember that the Oregon Coast Community College Small Business Development Center exists to provide free, confidential, one-on-one business advising to anybody, whether you own a business already or you're just thinking about it.
The optimum word there, free.
Yeah, no cost. And I almost don't like to say that because I've always said, exactly. I've always said that it's axiomatic. You get what you pay for. And then I have to say, caveat, except for free advising, because our advisors are amazing. And so accept that rule is true in all situations except for no cost advising from the Small Business Development Center.
And the advisors, talk a little bit about the advisors. Most of them come from a pretty strong business background.
Yeah, well, I mean, I owned a business here. I'm an advisor. I still do some of that work, even in a different role. Wendy Ludwig is an advisor. She's owned her own business. She is a CPA. And we're actually, by the time this airs, Roger, we may have a brand new member of the team at the Small Business Development Center. Gregory Price, who's our SBDC director, has also owned his own businesses and has a varied background. So no matter who you reach out to, in English or in Espanol, you're going to be speaking to an advisor who has lived your experience.
The community college, you're talking about the programming, different programs forthcoming for next fall. What kind of things are we looking at, Dave?
Well, there's a number of things happening, Roger. As it happens, folks should know that you folks are out and about doing this. You are on site. You are here at our Lincoln City campus. And I would like you, when you leave, to take a look at the palette of material that is sitting in our commons. It is a ton of very high-end mannequins and mannequin pieces for our nursing department. And that is just the beginning of what is going to happen upstairs this summer. We are ripping in 6 new cutting-edge hospital beds. We are putting in cameras, sound, control room. We will have a fully functional nursing sim lab as good as or better than the one that exists in the Newport campus just because it's newer, that will allow us to take our enrollment in nursing and double it so that instead of 20 nurses a year, we can graduate up to 40 nurses a year and make that available to people who live in North Lincoln County.
Are we talking about nurses, RN programs, or what program are we talking about, David?
We're talking RN, but you should also know that we now offer a LPN to RN. So if you're out there listening and you have an LPN, you can talk with us and with Dr. Crystal Bowman, the head of our Allied Health Program, who also lives here in Lincoln City. She can talk to them about how the LPN can, in 1 year, can turn that into an RN. And then Senate Bill 523, which passed on the very last day of the legislative session just ended, does allow community colleges to offer 4-year Bachelor's of Science degrees in nursing. So we have a new alternative as opposed to what traditionally has been our route, that if you have an RN and you pursue a BSN, we still have a matriculation agreement with Linfield College in McMinnville, where our graduates can enter as juniors in that program.
You talked about the legislative session just getting over there. There's a real piece of meat in that legislative session that we're looking forward to for the entire community college.
We sure are, Roger. As many of your listeners might know, we spent about 9 months on the road going to different Kiwanis and Rotary and chamber meetings talking about our Center for Trades Education, our pre-apprenticeship trades education center that's going to be built on our campus in Newport. That we actually took off of the ballot for this May because it turns out that the matching funds that the state had were not renewed due to some priority changes at Salem. Those have been corrected, and we now have $8.1 million back. And I want to thank Representative Gomberg and Senator Anderson for their help advocating for this. But we have that money on the table. All we need is the funds to match to raise it, and those funds will go towards building the new Lincoln County Center for Trades Education, and we will be taking that to the voters in May.
When we were talking about the trades, we're talking about welders, carpenters, the like, right?
Yes, and we're talking about a building that can serve those needs, but also those programs that we can't even envision right now, that are 5, 10, 15 years down the horizon. And so we're thinking about this building will be a flexible, giant space, roll-up doors, 3-phase power that drops anywhere you need it, everything in the joint on wheels so that it's completely flexible. Even classrooms can collapse away and become work areas. And you will be having classes with high-tech, zooming in the best instructors that we have, et cetera, while meanwhile, steps away on the workshop floor, people are putting to work the skills that they're learning in the classroom. It's going to be a remarkable facility. And yes, it may start with our marine welding program just because we have something like 100 names on our waiting list still aching to get in that program.
It's too bad you don't share some enthusiasm about this.
I love this program. And honestly, I got to tell you too, Roger, one of the things that's happening this summer, we have our second crew our second group of graduates of our teacher education pathway, the Teach at the Beach program we've talked about before, where students from like Taft High School right here can start while they're in high school, and certainly right after they graduate, they can come here and within 2 years have everything they need towards a teaching degree to then spend 9 months or their third year at Monmouth. And most of our students, in fact, I don't know of one yet who's had to relocate to Monmouth. They can do half their classes online, drive over when they have to, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, let's say, and wrap up that year of education. The fourth year of this program, the Lincoln County School District places them in a student teaching role here in Lincoln County. And once they complete that and complete their program, they get preferential hiring from the Lincoln County School District to bring those people back home. And you know what full-time teachers make, Roger. I mean, it's a good living, especially in Lincoln County standards. To be able to do that 4 years out of waltzing out of Taft, that is remarkable. And I think it's exceptionally powerful, and I just love that program.
Dave Rice, Oregon Coast Community College, thank you, sir. We appreciate your efforts and look forward to all of these new activities and facilities.
Well, come back for our grand opening of the Nursing Sim Lab, Roger, and we thank you for the podcast. It's really been a great thing.
Mold, fire, biohazard, or water damage in Lincoln County? ServPro is your go-to solution. We specialize in fast, reliable restoration services. From fire damage to biohazard cleanup, we can handle it all for residential and commercial spaces. Call us today at 541-243-2946.
I'm Adina Zeller. Zellers is now in 2 North Lincoln County locations. The original Zellers in Rose Lodge and now Zellers in Lincoln City, formerly Maxwell's. Zellers with great family food and kickin' fun like our line dancing. Just wait until you try our homemade clam chowder.
I'm Bruce Polby, reminding you to be prepared. We have a variety of life-saving go kits in stock at Lincoln City Sporting Goods, your electronic superstore in the heart of Lincoln City.
With us is Larry Attinger, and Larry Ganell, his wife, just recently returned from a very extensive Viking River and ocean cruise. Your impression of Viking?
We felt it was the best cruise we have taken out of close to 15 different cruises.
What made it that much better, Larry?
The service, the attitude of the staff, just the friendliness and the preparedness and all of the pre-information that we received from Viking, and everything was taken care of before we got on board so that we didn't have to worry about it when we were on board.
You had to travel quite a bit by plane. What was that experience?
Very tiring. We had some difficulties with luggage handling, but Viking's portion of the preparedness was right on spot. When we got to the first port, which was Mumbai, India, we came in at the airplane at 12:30 in the morning. We couldn't board the ship until 11 in the morning. They had people there at 12:30 in the morning waiting for us. They loaded us on a bus, took us to a very nice 5-star hotel, put us up for the night, fed us breakfast, picked us up in the morning, took us to the ship when it was time to get on board the ship.
Good service. You visit India. Where else?
We went to India first, got on board the ship after one day tour of Mumbai. Then we sailed to Oman. This isn't in exactly the right order, but we had 2 stops in Oman, 1 in Saudi Arabia, 1 in Jordan, 3 in Egypt as we went through the Suez Canal. And then from there we went on to Israel, and from Israel to Athens, Greece, where we disembarked.
I would venture a guess, without a doubt, you would recommend Viking Cruise Lines.
Yes, I would, and have to everybody I talk to.
And see Larry at Senior Fair. He'll be up there. He'll talk to you about Viking and the rest of the cruise lines as well. The Lincoln City Plaza is in the process of going under one of the greatest changes since the Cultural Center moved into this building, and we're talking about the outside of the facility. Alan Holzapfel, correct?
That's correct.
Now, Alan is the Plaza Construction Liaison, but more importantly, you're the guy that is a point man for the Cultural Center with the contractors.
Exactly, right. If there's a question on what the cultural center desires out of the plans, then they come to me for it. But most everything has been pretty well planned out, and they're following the plans now, and everything is right on schedule.
Needless to say, you've got a background that justifies you being in this position.
Well, I have had a bit of construction experience. My last paying job before I retired was construction manager for Habitat for Humanity in the Portland area. So I've got some familiarity with it. And before that, I was with a long time ago, I was with the Port of Portland during the first expansion of the main terminal at Portland International Airport. So I've been around construction for a while.
This is a different type of construction, though, is it not? Or is it?
Well, there's a lot of concrete work, and concrete work is concrete work, wherever that goes. There's not a lot of building because everything we're doing is on the outside of the building and not inside the building. So it's going to be landscaping and curbs and gutters and asphalt for the parking, lighting, that sort of thing. Mostly electrical is all new lighting. In fact, that's going to be one of the most exciting things I think people will notice, because the cultural center hasn't really had a lot of light at night. And so when we get finished, it'll be all new parking lighting. There'll be lighting along the pathway in front. So I kid people and say, well, it's going to light up like a Christmas tree here where it has been a black hole before. So lighting will be a big thing.
People may sit back and just driving past say, why?
Actually, the reason is that I know a lot of people have been inside the cultural center, and the folks here have done a wonderful job of taking this old school and making it reusable by the community. I'm always amazed at all the different things that go on here. During the day, there's yoga classes and dance classes, and there's concerts. There's a ceramics. I mean, there's just all kinds of things going on here. So the idea was to make the outside as inviting and good looking as the inside of the building is, and I think that's what we're going to end up with.
This becomes an eye stopper or a traffic stopper, does it not?
It does. The city's art there with Poppy is going to draw a lot of people. I'm so happy that the city was able to put that in even before we started construction, because it is an attraction, and people ask that very question, what is that? And what's going on here? The Rotary with their instruments, the instruments that they put in there, a lot of people may be familiar with the ones at Regatta Park. Those are the small versions down there of the xylophone and all that sort of thing. The ones here are like the ones down at Regatta on steroids. They're the big size ones. So we're looking forward to that. And that's all been installed already.
The general construction that is taking place right now, you've got a target date of sometime in October?
Yes, the original substantial completion date was 28 September, end of September. But I think we'll probably be into October. And maybe even later than that as far as some of the landscaping goes, because a lot of plants plant better in the fall. So some of that may be delayed into the fall, but substantial completion as far as walking around and parking and that sort of thing will be complete before we finish up on the landscaping.
Any surprises that have come about since you got underway?
Well, I suppose the biggest surprise was that we found out that the downspout drainage system that the school had installed was no longer functioning. It had been replaced with some inadequate, so the building is going to end up with an all-new downspout drainage system. You can see the results of that at each of the downspouts. They'll have cleanouts on them. But other than that, we haven't found anything that the state historical people would be interested in, which is an advantage. We didn't want to disturb anything that SHPO would come and talk to us about. So, no, we haven't really found anything. It's been pretty straightforward.
The contractor that you guys have selected, a lot of experience in this type of construction?
Yes. In fact, these guys are known for their concrete work. And I think if you need an example of really fine concrete work, take a look at the curvilinear benches that are outside the front of the building and take a look at the finish on those. And I've been impressed with the rest of the work that they have done. And yes, they have come to us with quite a bit of experience in flat work and decorative concrete work, because we're going to have a lot of that here as well.
The thing that's given you the most passion and joy for this project is what, Alan?
Well, I got volunteered because
That's good.
my wife is president of the board here at the Cultural Center Board of Directors.
Say something nice.
So I don't mind at all. I do enjoy this. I think that it's a way in retirement. It's a way to give back for all the things that I've been able to be happy about and doing.
There is a certain reward in being able to give, is there not?
There is. Yep, there is indeed. And people ask, my wife and I both said, "Gee, aren't you going to be bored at the coast?" And I look at them and I say, "You mean BORED or BOARD?" And so my wife and I both are on boards of two separate 501c3 organizations. So between the two of us, we got 4 that we're working with. So no, we're bored in BOARD, not the other one.
And the community is thankful for it. I must say that what you two are accomplishing for the benefit of the community and the Cultural Center, phenomenal is an understatement.
Well, we enjoy it ourselves, so I don't mind at all.
All right, Alan's going to jump on the phone. He's a busy guy. This is what's taking place right now, the plaza construction, and he is the liaison or the point man for the Lincoln City Cultural Center. And before we leave you, we'd like to draw your attention to some of the upcoming activities in and around the greater Lincoln City community. For instance, August 12th, the Sandcastle Building Contest in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 26th, 27th at Surf City up at Chinook Winds, also the Sound Off, and that is a major fundraiser for Angels Anonymous. September 1, Stuff a Bus at the Lincoln City Outlets, and October 3, the Senior Fair. Also, if you're in shopping and see peanut butter on the sale, even if it's not on sale, buy a bunch of it and give it to the Backpack Food Program. Drop it off at the bank of your choice and say it's because you heard about it on today's podcast. Our special thanks to our guests today from the library. Kristen was in, Dave Price from Oregon Coast Community College, Alan from the Cultural Center, and Larry Attinger joined me to talk about Always Traveling and, of course, Viking Cruise Lines. Coming up next week, we'll have an opportunity to talk about a couple of the service clubs that service the greater Lincoln City community and raise a lot of money, in particular for the backpacks. And we'll talk to Karen Doomer about backpack program, the Rotary, Kiwanis, and backpacks. That's coming up next week. So that'll do to the doings on the Double R Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share so you and your family and friends around the world and across the street can enjoy the Double R Show. For Paul, I'm Roger. Have a happy day.
You've been listening to The Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For The Double R Show, I'm Jana Grahn.